Hi there, I'm Akin Grimes, or Air, if you prefer.
And I'm Haley. I've wrestled my position back from Embers for this week.
Jiraika, that's me.
And I'm your DM, Jay. And this is Insight Check, where we delve into the dungeon of your bad decisions to retrieve the treasure of wisdom.
I just want to let every one of our listening audience know that after Embers came at me last podcast, his lovely turtle took a dive. I think it was something like 49 hit points in one go from my my barbarian arms. So I got you covered. No worries.
Not only that, but you don't see him in this episode, do you?
1,001 corpses.
That's what we do when you finish hosting on this show.
That's it.
Straight
Done.
to the Queen of Murder. All right.
Take out the trash.
So we're going to start off with Dungeon Crawl, the segment where we talk about new and exciting and cool things in D&D this week.
So today's December prompt is spooky/undead, and this goes really well with the theme of the one shot that I just ran.
Wow, you DM'd. Is this your first time DMing? No, you DM'd for us before.
Well, it's complicated. I was trying to run a Pern-based homebrew thing that ran for maybe like 2 or 3 sessions. Don't talk about it. So maybe this is like my 4th time DMing. I am in love with the C-Team, big surprise, so I wanted to do a C-Team-esque game where there were roles and an AI team. I wanted it to be different, of course, and so since the PAX Unplugged game where Jim and Viari found out that Omen has his own little squads all around the place doing his bidding, I thought it would be funny if Viari also had requisitioned some interns, etc., for shenanigans of his own devising. And they met the T-Team in Thay, and they were in a mortuary, and there were a lot of dead things going on, and there were also some undead things. So we had some specters and some will-o'-the-wisps and a couple of wraith priests, which was my addition to the game, which are wraiths and priests, and you stick them together, and basically it's priests that can turn people into specters. So it was very exciting. The one goal I had for the one shot was to not have anybody actually do any combat. Luckily that happened. Everyone took other routes to get to their goal. So I'm excited to run more of these in this setting.
So they and Thay flay the decay?
Sure, honey.
No, that sounds exciting. I mean, obviously I'm always in favor of anybody trying out the DM's chair, just so that I have more opportunity to play. I didn't get to play in this game. I was delivering episode 7 to the hungry masses.
2 hot steamers coming your way.
Exactly. 2 hot steamers coming your way, and there's no way that can be misinterpreted or misunderstood by the general viewing audience. Now, did anybody else have anything that they wanted to touch on before I move on?
So I have a silly dungeon crawl that brings me much joy. I like to follow on Twitter Bad D&D Hooks, spelled just like it sounds, DN, the letter, not an and, but it is a bunch of just a daily kind of silly D&D hook thing. I think the one that kind of got the most traction was their pinned tweet, which is, the PCs pretend to get lost in a labyrinth so they don't upset the sensitive young minotaur who built it. And it's all just similar silly things like that, but I really enjoy it, and some of them I think could end up being like kind of funny things and like a good refresher for some of the people that we hear feeling a bit burnt out in their campaigns and looking for some silly inspiration. Maybe this would be a good refreshing one shot, or might spark your brain into thinking of some other things.
So is it that they describe, like, they encapsulate a whole adventure, or is it like a writing prompt where they give you like a scenario?
It's just like a one-sentence thing that says something like, this is another one. The PCs are asked to kill a band of marauding orcs for free because the exposure received from doing so will pay for itself over time.
Art imitating life, imitating art, imitating
Exactly.
life.
Never work for exposure, adventurers.
Speaking of which, Jay, when is our check coming in for this podcast?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey! He did the mash!
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
It's a new and ridiculous segment where I'm going to list off 4 monsters. Some of them will be real D&D monsters. Some of them will not. You will be in charge of deciding whom is real and whom is not. We're gonna start easy. This is a simple one. Is an armadilliphant a real D&D monster?
Spelling?
ARMADILLEPHANT.
An
Like
elephant?
armadillo
I was like,
elephant.
armed elephant?
It's an
Armadilliphant.
Like
armadilliphant.
spelling bee like rules? Can I be like, use it in a sentence or?
The party was attacked by an armed elephant.
Should we just go from top to bottom?
Sure. Yes.
No.
Yes.
It is real!
What?
Ding ding
And
ding.
I'm face palming. You can't see it.
I'm
but
going to
there
put
is
it
a
in
hard
our
facepalm.
group chat right now, the image. It is a elephant with armadillo scales all over its body.
So basically
And
an
it is
armed elephant. An armored elephant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
It's actually kind of badass.
It's just like a very hard shell. Like it's got a hide, you know? And it doesn't hide.
It also has like armadillo claws though.
And it has
Oh,
like
yeah.
the armadillo tail too.
Oh yeah, it does. What an intriguing, what a majestic creature. It has a burrowing speed.
Burrowing.
All right.
I retract my badass. It's a little weird.
All
You
right.
can tell how
So the
old
next
this is
one.
because its intelligence rating is semi.
Like me.
Okay. So the next one is going to be a little harder. I'm going to need you to really think this one out because it's going to be a little challenging. This one's called a squark.
Squark?
Do you think a squark is a real D&D monster?
I hope so.
I'm gonna want that spelling.
SQUARK. Like get out of the water. It's a squark.
No, that sounds like some sort of subatomic particle. No.
I said I hope so.
Also, no.
It's real. It's a squid and a shark.
Yes.
Oh, I see. There's a
pleased.
theme
Oh
here.
God, I'm really worried about. Are you gonna show us a picture of a squark? Is it?
Yes,
Oh,
here
God.
it
my
is.
My.
It
It
looks like nothing. It looks like an avocado with like arms.
Also a lot of teeth.
Honestly, it looks like a banana that sprouted tendrils.
I mean, I saw the tentacles before I saw the
Just
teeth.
more reasons.
Yeah,
to
it's
not.
really something else.
It also looks like it has eye stalks or something.
It's weird.
The thing that I really like about the squark, and what I really think is ingenious, is that it solved the land shark problem in a new way. It's got those tendrils; it can just hop up on those things and get out of that water and come at you.
Does it have a ground move speed?
I don't know. I just have this one image of it.
Is it half its swimming speed?
Listen, if I ran this creature, it would definitely have a land speed.
Please don't run this creature.
Can you just run no creatures with any tentacles from now on, please?
Now listen, it only gets better from here.
Why don't I believe you?
So the next one I'm going to describe to you a little bit, and you'll have to determine if I'm describing a creature that is actually in Dungeons and Dragons, or if I have just gone on some very strange medication.
Those don't sound like mutually exclusive categories.
A howler wasp, which is a monkey and a wasp merged.
I'm gonna
Gosh.
go with yes.
I'm gonna say no.
No.
It's real.
Oh my gosh. So I'm sensing a theme
Yeah,
that
I
they're
get
just
the
all
sense
gonna
that
be.
they're-
This is horrifying looking.
It's a monkey and a bee combined.
It's like a wasp body
And some
with little
creepy
wasp
fangs.
arm pincers and then a face of a monkey. It's
the perfect killing machine.
It's so horrible.
It's
Is its intelligence pretty high or no?
It's something, that's for
This
sure.
looks-
Let's all agree that it's definitely a thing that we're looking at right now.
I'm looking
This
at the
little clip
typeset.
above it says, it attacks without hesitation.
Yeah, well, I would imagine.
Has all the fury of a wasp and a monkey. So
Here's an interesting concept that you might wanna check out for your future D&D games. It's on the house, straight from me to you. Would you like to run a creature called a gas spore?
Tell me more
Sure.
about this.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and spoil this for you, that it is a real creature in D&D. But let me tell you what makes this creature so fun, and what really made the first editions of D&D so fun. There's a monster called a Beholder, right?
I've
No, that's
That
not
can't be
thing.
real.
Why? What?
Now, it looks like this. It's a little ball, big eye in the middle, little spindly noodles all over its body that end in eyes, and then a big mouth for chewing on unprepared adventurers. Now, the gas spore was a creature that looked exactly like a beholder, except for when you attacked it, it released deadly spores which killed you instantly.
Oh, nice.
So it's a creature that's entire purpose is to trick adventurers into killing it so that they themselves get killed.
Wow.
Huh?
That's how a DM says "fuck you, players." Yeah.
Oh,
The
boy.
original Dungeons and Dragons was all about this kind of bullshit.
But I mean, I feel like it's easily rectified, though. You can just like have there be a saving throw before instant death.
Right, but it's just kind of goes to the nature
But
of the game,
still.
right? Like the idea that they introduce a creature
Yeah.
specifically to trick people. But then again, you had the Lurker Above, which was a mimic that mimicked ceilings. Or the Trapper, which was a mimic that mimicked floors. Or the Stun Jelly, which is a mimic that lives in walls. You have the Bowler, who is just a boulder. And then, of course, the Sheet Phantom, which is a cloth that comes to life and chokes you if you put it on. And then there's one that's just a pair of pants that comes alive and tries to kill
A
you.
pair of pants?
Yes, a pair of slacks that come alive and that try and rip you to pieces.
Slack attack. If I may, the gas spore. I just want to describe this art to our listening audience. It's a set, so it has an adventurer attacking one, and he's got like a main gauche in his offhand, I'm assuming, and he's got some sort of falchion in his right hand, and he's swinging around, and it looks like he's destroying like a party pinata, and the look on his face is just like, oh, fuck off. Like, he's just, like, so pissed off. Not
this
this horseshit
again.
again.
He has such the look of the player at the table
Yeah.
of the DM.
Like, are you
It's like,
friggin' kidding me right now?
it's like, yes, at the end of the hallway, you see a round spherical body with a large eye in the center and a gaping maw, and people are like, oh shit, we're about to fight a beholder. And then it's like, I attack the beholder. It explodes into poisonous spores. Make a constitution save.
And you're dead.
Also, this guy's got some weird arm muscles.
Yeah, I also thought that too.
His
The
upper
amount of-
arms are very strong. His lower arms are kind of spindly.
Please visit @InsightCheckPod on Twitter to see all this lovely art arrayed
Right,
for you.
and if you hated this segment, make sure to leave a comment on our iTunes page about how much you disliked it. But give us 5 stars anyway, because you don't want to hurt us as people. Also, if you really liked this
Please
segment, give us a
love us.
comment on iTunes. Just basically comment on iTunes. All right, guys. I think that's enough fooling around.
I think we have some pressing questions from our Twitter page
Our dear fandom.
We have so many questions this week.
from our lovely humans.
We put out a call for questions, and people answered that call with gusto, with a zeal. And more importantly, they asked questions about things other than Dungeons and Dragons, which means that we get to actually talk about something other than the C Team for once. All right, so Rue, what games are good for the holidays? Especially something easy to intro to family. I really like this question because I like board games.
But I like specific board games. I like co-op board games.
Me too. So I was going to say that I have started a tradition of getting a board game and giving it to my family every year for the holidays because I grew up in a pretty anti-board game family.
Wow.
Like very anti-board game.
Like
we didn't play.
somebody's aunt was killed by a board game? What?
I've met your dad and your mom, and they seem like they would be really cool.
My
with
mom
board
just like really hates board games. She's getting better. I've found board games that she likes, but she was kind of scarred by like years of playing Monopoly with her very competitive family. And so she just was like, no board games. And then I made them play Candyland like an indecent number of times as a child. And so I don't think I helped situations. So now I've tried to rectify this by getting a good, like, fun, easy board game every year for Christmas. And I think the one that there's two that she really liked. One of them is Pandemic. I'm a big fan of Pandemic for the co-op game.
Seconded.
Lovers out
Yes,
there.
It's a great high stakes.
Yes, high stakes, also science, which we like, and kind of science anyway, science adjacent. But also, like, there's not a winner, which is good for my family and good for the holidays.
I mean, the world is the winner.
Yes, but one person, like, we played Ticket to Ride, and we got towards the end of the game and my mom was working on building her longest train, and then my brother was like, I will put this one train here just to mess up this situation. And she was like, I don't understand why people have to be like this. And the next year I was like, I'm going to buy Pandemic.
Yeah, Ticket to Ride is a great game. My mom loves it.
It's a fun game.
But you
My
definitely
brother loves
can
that
really
game.
mess somebody up.
And Tsuro is really fun as well. And
What? What
Tsuro,
word is
it's
that?
Tsuro, I believe.
Oh, Tsuro. Gotcha.
And you're basically like putting tiles down and building the board as you go, and you're trying to like, they're little tracks and your pieces just follow the little tracks, and you're trying not to fly off the board. So you're trying to make other people fly off the board, but yourself stay on the board. I'm not doing a great job explaining it. There is actually a great tabletop video that the Will Wheaton did, and that's part of where I found this game from, and it's a good like quick game and fun. So it's not like you've invested 2 hours into it and then you lose. You've invested like 15 minutes and then you lose.
For this kind of thing, I really like Machi Koro, which can be played in about 15 minutes. I think I let both of you play it with me while we were at PAX
I
Unplugged.
wouldn't say let.
We were encouraged to play it.
Indeed.
Yeah. Everybody played Machi Koro at PAX Unplugged. Oh, I'm sorry, not everybody. 3/4 of Inside Check played Machi Koro.
It was fun, though. It was fun. It was more fun than I thought
It
it
was
was
more
going to
fun
be.
without air.
Nah.
Yeah, and it's one of those games that gets better the more you play it because you learn what all the cards do and it gets a little easier. It's also a lot more fun when you're not super exhausted from a 2-day con
It is true.
with no real breaks.
We were very tired at that point, and we kind of just melted into the floor and then played a board game.
Yeah, we found a corner behind a cat statue and just hid and played a board game.
If I may, so not necessarily holiday themed, but another rock solid recommendation from Will Wheaton's tabletop show on the Geek and Sundries on YouTube is Gloom, which is a card game wherein it is family based. You do play a family, but the whole point of it is to kill all the members of your family before anyone else does. And it's very dark, it's very morose, it's got that gallows humor, but it's super simple to pick up. It's very intelligently designed in the way the cards work. They have sections that are transparent, so they're meant to play on top of other cards in order to give like maladies or whatnot to your family members in order to kill them off. So it's a really cute game. It's really simple and easy to play, really quick to pick up, and it's a quick play too. You won't be spending hours trying to get through a round of it over the holidays when you're probably full of good food and want to sleep soon.
So the two co-op games that I'm going to recommend, the first one is Forbidden Island. You put out I think it's like a 7x7 tile grid, but it's very, I could be wrong, but you are exploring this island and you have to collect parts of your escape device to get off of the island before it sinks. And it's very, very cool and very co-op. And I think it's by the people who made Pandemic. I'm pretty sure it's the same company. I could be wrong. But the second game is Castle Panic. And I think I had a dream about this game the other day. I had a very strong hankering to play it. So you set up this very simple castle. There's 6 walls in the middle with 6 buttresses, and then orcs and goblins and bad things come out of the woods all around your castle, and they come up each round in a successive circle around your castle, and then you have to knock them out, or you have to knife them, or you have to cover them with tar before they knock all your walls down. So this is a very D&D, I think, flavored co-op. It's very fun.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like the game that I picked up at PAX Unplugged, which is also cooperative. It's a 2-player game or a 1-player game, but it's called One Deck Dungeon, which is very fun. But I've actually played Forbidden Island, and it's really good. I liked playing the diver, so I can, when the island part starts sinking, I can just jump between islands.
I hope that gives Rue some ideas of some fun games to play with their family and friends.
May they have all the joy that comes from board games with family and friends.
Indeed.
At the holiday time.
Yay.
Lipacheski, at Lipacheski on Twitter, says, if you had a 12 Days of Christmas style combat where the players fought 1 to 12 things in a row, what would you make it? What kind of mechanics would you use? And would you give breaks of some kind to avoid a TPK? No. Why would you?
Don't run from a TPK. Embrace it.
Yeah.
The gift is that you get to die at the end.
Exactly.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It can be like a gauntlet style thing where you run different groups through it and see what day of Christmas they die on.
Goodness.
If
All right,
you want
so
your holidays to be nice and dark, try this.
The 12 Days of Christmas. Now, let's say that we went at this in a gauntlet style encounter. 12 enemies down to 1 enemy. So you're going from a very small, very weak enemy up to a single boss fight type encounter. I think for a gauntlet style fight like this, a party under the level of 10 would be impossible because you wouldn't have enough resources to last. So I think you're definitely going to need at least a level 10 party. You might as well make them a level 12 party for the 12 days. I think that starting with an enemy like Modrons, very weak, soft enemies, 12 Modrons tinkering might be a great way to kick things off. What do you guys think for 11 of something that you had to fight? What would you want to fight 11 of?
Mephits.
Oh, Mephits. Ooh.
Oh, like elementals, like dust Mephits,
Yes,
water
yes,
Mephits.
yes.
Gotcha. That would be cool. And they're pretty weak, but they're still kind of. They do look a lot of residual damage when they explode, so that's going to be kind of difficult.
They have some interesting abilities.
Did you flavor the explosions in a holiday way?
Yeah.
Oh,
tinsel explosions.
Cinnamon methods.
Glitter everywhere. Glitter methods.
Glitter methods.
Eggnog methods.
There you go. That's how you're balancing the encounter. They drink the eggnog, 10 hit points back.
Yes.
Drink 2 glasses of eggnog, they've made a bad decision that night.
Drink their fluids. Drink them such that you might be ready for the next encounter.
That's very hardcore
dark.
metal.
Well, Air, you've ruined it.
Yeah, I was going to say something undead in the high numbers, like 10 skeletons or zombies, something that could be turned.
Oh, there you go. So if you have a cleric, you really have an advantage on that round.
How do you make skeletons festive? Put Santa
Party
hats on them?
Yeah, party hats.
hats.
They're wearing wreaths around their necks.
Oh my
And
goodness.
Oh,
Yeah.
instead of swords, they have candy canes. They deal bludgeoning damage.
Oh,
Yeah.
and bludgeoning skeletons.
I think for 9, you want something again that's still pretty weak in small numbers. Maybe kobolds or goblins.
I was gonna say,
they can be elves.
somewhere in there you should go some classic monsters. But yeah, making them elves is a little dark, but also festive.
Yeah.
There you go.
But not the elves you're thinking of.
No, those elves.
Little elf-dressed goblins or kobolds would be
gosh.
fun.
This is what happens when you don't meet quota on Santa's line.
This is what happened when your Modron presents explode in front of you.
So 7 and 6. What are we looking at for 7 and 6? Now we're getting into slightly smaller groups, but still pretty large. They still have to be pretty soft enemies.
Something spectral. Actually, you know what? I think I would save that for 3, because then we can have the 3 ghosts.
Right.
visit.
So maybe on this one, you want this one to be the one where the party can kind of take a breather. Maybe you want to be like 7 rabid squirrels,
7 rabbits.
6 wild dogs.
Or you could
And then you can be
go-
like healing up while you're taking out these
You
enemies.
could also do, if you want a nutcracker kind of twist, you could do some rats.
Oh. There you
So
go.
you could do some
Oh,
rats
yep.
attack.
Rodents of unusual size.
unusual size.
Were rats.
Yep, that would be good.
Yeah, and then that can be a chance to maybe heal up, get some heals in. Now, what I'm thinking is, you know, the song has this big pause when they say 5 golden rings. Maybe there's a 30-minute break at 5 golden rings where everybody gets to attune to 5 golden rings and like spin some hit dice.
That would be. It does have that kind of choir of angels feel to it. So yeah, that kind of suits. Just you get some healing upon you, so you don't die.
Right, and you get 5 golden rings, which have like crazy magical effects you can use into the final round.
You could have them each be an element.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Uh,
Who gets heart?
Me.
All right, so now we're into the smaller numbers, 4 and 3 and 2. What are we thinking makes them like smaller but really dangerous encounters? You've already mentioned ghosts, Air.
Well, I want to do, you'll be visited by 3 spirits this evening.
Ah, yeah, call back to a
Scrooge,
different
so-
Christmas theme.
Yeah, so Christmas Carol, that would be the 3.
The
but
Wraith
the
of
4
Christmas Past, the Ghost of Christmas Future, and then the Spectre of Christmas Present.
There you go. But I don't know for who's got ideas for 4. Which Christmas things have 4?
Well, it absolutely has to be turtle doves, doesn't it? It could be doves with turtle shells. Now we're thinking.
I just realized we missed an opportunity to have the reindeer attack early on.
Oh, 8 reindeer.
reindeer.
Maybe that's what 8 should be. Hey, go back to when we said 8
And just edit it.
Do reindeers instead.
Yeah.
No, you all edit it in your mind, and then we'll edit the 8 reindeers. That was better than whatever dumb crap we said earlier. I think it was goblins. So it'll be 7 kobolds or 7 goblins, and then 8 reindeers. So that way we don't do goblins and kobolds, because that's just doubling down. That's boring.
So 2?
2. I think you're dealing with Mr. and Mrs. Claus.
Ooh.
Are they
Except they're
werejackals?
werewolves,
Or
yes.
bears?
Mr. and Mrs. Claus.
Yes,
Oh my
Claus.
God.
Please have them be like
killed
polar
me.
bears. I love it.
Oh, even better.
20
Were
slashing
polar bears.
We're polar bears.
Oh my goodness.
Where polar bears. Air gets it for the win. Moving on.
I think that was Haley.
I just
excuse me,
repeated what
Haley.
you said.
Yeah, awesome.
All great D&D campaigns end in fighting like a mythical being, like a conceptual being. I think that ours could also end that way. Could number 1 just be fighting the idea of capitalism?
I don't know if
What would the
if
stats be
D&D
on that?
people understand capitalism as we do. I would say something like gluttony might make more sense.
Ooh.
If
That's
I
fair.
may, can we just take an established D&D like god tier level character and just rebrand them for the holidays, if I may? Demo ho 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 Gorgon.
Oh my goodness. There's also actually already a gluttony demon, like the Goristro, right?
So you promote him to a god.
If it were Jay, he would just go back to the aboleth and have it attack me again.
No, why? No, stop. Nope.
I think a powerful demon does make a good challenge for a level 12 party, though.
It's true.
But like a Christmas demon.
Yes, a Christmas demon. Everyone knows that
Krampus.
classic
It's
Christmas
Krampus,
demon.
obviously.
Oh, it's Krampus! Oh my god, it's Krampus. That's perfect.
It's just Orcus holding mistletoe over his head
Yeah.
bashfully.
Oh.
He's
And
a
also
sweet,
over his
sweet
junk,
demon
because
boy.
no one wants to
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah, I once made the mistake of introducing a pit fiend into a mid-level party, and I found out that pit fiends are actually very strong.
Yeah.
Maybe something like a chain demon would be good at this level. But after you've fought through 12 previous encounters, I think any creature at all is going to be challenging. I'm using my cantrips all this fight because I've run out of spells.
Oh, goodness.
Alright guys, I think that is the 12 days of Christmas. I hope that this helps you out, Lee Pacheski. I hope that you run this game and that you invite me to it because it sounds tremendous.
Tell us how it goes.
I just want to say shoutouts, Lee Pacheski, my MC brother in arms. I see you.
Go Canada.
You are seen. There was a brief moment where we thought you might be Air, but now we know you're two different people, that there are two people in Canada.
Just two, though.
Let's just edit that part right out. Sounds great.
Great. I like your editing suggestions, and like all your editing suggestions, I will place it directly in the trash. We got another question from our friend Raf Deval Santos at Heavenspawn says, Insight Check Pod. My question for the podcast. I'm actually curious about you folk as people. So he wants us to share a little bit. I am Jay, full name Joshua. I am from Alabama, and I am very comfortable sharing details about myself. My co-hosts may be a little less so, but there's some things about us that in general we would love to share. I have been playing D&D since I was a very young college student. My first year of college, I went to the back of a collegiate sitting area. My cousin was there, and he was telling me about a new game he was playing called Dungeons & Dragons. I said, shh, we're in public. You can't say that here. And since then, I've been playing nonstop. 2 years ago, I took a break. A year ago, I got back into it thanks to Critical Role. And I've been playing every single week since, nonstop, again, just like I was young. And it's super, super fun. And yeah, I've met these wonderful people through the C-Team community. And we all love the C-Team, and we wanted to play D&D. Some of them had never played before, and that's how we all got to meet each other.
My name is Jerica, but my real name is Erin. I live in New York, and I started playing D&D on the reg in late 2014 after a terrible breakup. So D&D was pretty much my therapy from feeling like a bag of shit. So I haven't been able to tear myself away. And
it's a lot cheaper than therapy.
Yeah, well, I have bought a lot of books. But
maybe not a lot cheaper.
I went to my LGS, my local game store, and luckily there was a group just starting Tyranny of Dragons, and so I started out with a cleric who was a douchebag. Maybe there was some holdover from my ex, I don't know, whatever. So I did that for a very little amount of time, and then I played Jerica for 2.5 years. She was a Circle of the Moon druid, as I have intimated, and now I'm playing a Storm Herald Barbarian with this campaign, and I'm also playing a Eldritch Knight on a monthly campaign. So I don't think I'm ever going to be able to let D&D go.
It gets its hooks in good.
Yep.
Haley, what do you want to talk about?
I'm Haley. I'm from Boston. Boston. I'm not originally from here. I don't have a Boston accent. Sometimes I try to pretend that I do. Mostly I just try to pretend like I can say words like locals, and I can fool people who aren't from Boston, and people from Boston are like, stop doing that. You sound horrible. So all
I know about the Boston accent is that one episode of 30 Rock where
Jack Donaghy.
Yeah, there was a love interest from Boston, and yeah.
You basically just remove all the vowels and then talk like you have stuff in your mouth. I don't know.
I can't remove the vowels.
There you hear it, Bostonians. Just remove all the vowels and talk
If you would like to leave a review of our description of the Boston accent, please leave it on iTunes and give us 5 stars. Thank you.
Other Bostonian people are gonna hate me. They'll be like, "You're not allowed to live here anymore. Please leave." Anyway.
I hear Seattle's nice, Haley.
Yeah, exactly. No, I used to live in a place that is spelled Medford, and people from there call it like method.
Method.
Methods again.
Yeah, no, literally when you said Methods, I was like, the place I used to live? Anyway, I said I was moving to there, and I was like, I'm moving to Medford. And they're like, that's not a place here.
We don't know where that is.
We don't know where that is.
Oh my
Anyway.
So how did you get into D&D?
So I got into D&D when I met all of you people and started playing with you. But
that's not how you
that's
got
not how I
into
got into D&D. So I went to PAX East when I was in college with, I took my little brother and went with a friend and went to my first PAX, and I was like, oh, this is a cool thing. And that's kind of how I found Penny Arcade, and then my whole family started going to PAX. PAX East is now a total family affair. My mom, my dad, my brother, and I all go. And my dad went to AI one year. I think the second year we went, and then the third year he was like, you have to come to this thing, it's so funny. And I was like, Dungeons and Dragons? That seems weird. I don't think I would like that. And I went, and it was...
Wasn't it the 2014, the one in Baldur's Gate with the shifting
Yes.
dungeon?
I was like, I know we've talked about this. Aaron knows which one it is. I've told him. And it was so hilarious. And I laughed until I cried. And then I listened to every single AI podcast up to that point over the space of 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe 2, maybe 3. But it was really just totally binge listened to all of the AI shows. And
do you remember any of them?
I've listened to them all a lot of times since. And I was always
a true AI original.
Just a little bit obsessed with it. So, yeah, and I started listening to, I was always following all of the shows and really into all of that. And thinking it would be super cool to find some people who wanted to play this, and none of my local friend group is that much into D&D. They like some board games, but not anything that's longer than a half an hour to an hour. And then I started watching the C-Team, and I met all of these lovely folks, and we started playing our Roll20 game, and then we decided we wanted to spend more time talking about D&D, and now we do this thing.
Well, I wanted to say the reason I remember the episode is because that was the first AI thing I ever saw as well, and that's what had me fall in love with D&D, because that game is still, I think, the funniest one they've ever done. The lines, there's some classic material in there of fuck you, Jim Dark Magic, and Jeff, you're a wizard now, and it was really just top shelf, and I remember that's how I discovered D&D as well.
All right, so what made you decide that you wanted to play?
Me?
Yeah.
I assumed that I would have equal amounts of fun doing that. I had a group of, I think I mentioned IRL friends who were also are also big nerds, but had just never managed to get around to trying D&D. They're big board game players and card players into Magic and Hearthstone. So we're like, oh, we should try the D&D thing. So we just gave it a shot one summer, and that was kind of the size of it.
And I'm sure that this will come as a shock to everyone, but he is from the Canada region.
Right up in
we
that
have made some jokes about that.
They were good jokes, though, higher quality than the usual ones.
Oh, super.
Yes, exactly. Loving,
they
good,
were the
kind of jokes.
fancy grade syrup jokes.
Oh.
Not the one that was made out of corn syrup.
Yeah, we didn't make any Mountie jokes.
Speak for yourself.
Haley with those maple syrup purity digs.
Listen, there's a lot of maple syrup in New England, too.
Yes, I will say, yeah, in terms of personal details, I do live in Canada, and I am acting crimes, or air if you prefer.
There you go. And that's all that we need.
Just the best MC ever.
Oh, yeah, really good. You gotta check out his Twitter for some of those good raps.
Dem good raps.
Kink raps.
Kink with the good raps.
Acquisition rhymes. All right. And it took me forever to realize that the at in your symbol was for acquisitions. Oh, my God. Acquisitions. Oh, so
It's
good.
okay.
It's a good joke.
He got there in the end.
I think an A has been inserted, though.
If I may, the problem was I started this because I started on Twitter to do the D&D AI rhymings, and I made 2 other accounts, which I forgot the passwords for.
The
So
dilemma.
I was stuck with @Quisitions Incorporated or Rhymes or whatever because I had used up the other more obvious ats already.
Happens.
It's okay. That should be a secret because it seems really clever. Just have it be clever.
Listen, I'm just going to cut all of that explanation. All right, guys. I think that's going to wrap us up for another episode of Insight Check. It was a delight and a pleasure, as always, to sit here with my friends and talk about this game that we all love.
I heart D&D. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Insight Check. Keep your awesome questions coming. We loved answering your questions and reading your comments this week. So tweet at us at InsightCheckPod or #InsightCheck. We wanted to say a thank you, as always, to Vinswept for our intro and outro music, and to Amy T. Falcone for our lovely artwork. And since we haven't asked you enough times to rate us on iTunes and leave us comments, please do that. If you start doing that, we'll stop asking you so many times.
Answering your cues from our collective A's. That's my air impression.
Holy shit. It came out of Jaraika this time, and I don't know how I feel about
It's all
it.
confusing.
It did? I thought it came out of me.
Yeah, you can't tell, can you?
We love you all. Thanks for listening.
This
Was
Insight!
Check! And our silly responses to your questions, please give a
Haley, the sweetest mind flayer. That's what it sounds like when she's trying to eat your brain.
wow.